and welcome to this episode of The Lifting, or at least an impromptu one anyway. This group of beings evidently didn't want to have their message on Patreon, so it is getting delegated to YouTube at this point. These beings, I'll just go into a brief history here and then I'll let them do it. Think of the beings that were here before the Archontic forces conquered this solar system, and the AI conquered the solar system. We know about giants, but you know that there are also different groupings of beings that could also be considered Titan. Think about this, the war between the Olympians and the Titans were just an extension of the Orion Wars, or the temporal conflicts, or temporal war of attrition, whatever you want to call it. The Olympians at the time were more or less the infected. We've talked about a virus that could change people into either more reptilian forms or vampiric forms that happened to Enki, Enlil, and Anu. You had the war between the Olympians and the Titans, started the division of the Earth. We're going to go into that just a tad bit, I believe they're going to go into to expound on this particular topic. So, Joanna?
Yeah, so interesting. Again, a little bit different format from a traditional lifting show. However, we've been alluding to, people to beginning to remember their true galactic origins, where they came from, what this was all about. So it seems that as we go through the energies of everything we're going through, we're going full back circle to remember actually who we are, where we came from, origins, things like that. And so this, as we rise in frequency, we're becoming more visible to other things, and we're, let's say, in a sense, arriving at their doorsteps, as we're journeying forward. New things and new races and new beings are becoming visible to us, and we are becoming visible to them. So that's what's allowing some of the newer information that we have to come out. It's our own personal growth and our rise within frequency to see more. So, with that, I'm just going to simply offer blessings and support to you all as you are experiencing your journey and your growth. And we'll just kind of open this up. We normally are a little bit more scripted to the lifting shows, but this one's going to go however this one's going to go. So, Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Alrighty then. Yes, for also some time now, we've been feeling, and our friend Aurora said the same thing, these energies that have been coming forward are not only newer, but they're older, much, much older. As the Galactics have said in past channelings, it's the old reasserting itself as the overage vanishes. That's how some of the Galactics have been saying it, and it's actually quite true. You have a very hidden energy, or sleeping energy, or oppressed energy, but as the bad guys disappear, you see, it's coming forward, even though there's a mix of old and new. As we've also said on the Galactic Interstellar Councils, there's the new, the old coming back, and then there's a new set of creativity and ideas on top of that. So I don't know what to call these beings other than Titans. First thing you think of when you hear the word Titan is Viking or warrior or nature being even. Think of them that way. So we're going to go into that.
But let me tell you that these, as has happened several times recently, these beings, when they come in, I believe, again, they're beings that are obviously can be individual, but there is a collective streaming of energies that are radiating out certain emotions. It's like, when we are feeling their energies and we are becoming aware of them, and they are really now finally seeing us, let's say, arrive. They may have expected us. There's a lot of energies and a lot of feelings that actually come with this. And we were discussing this earlier here because they made themselves known to you while you were off doing something, and you had a bunch of emotions, feelings that were coming
with a download of information when I was over at the locker. Yeah,
and then we were also experiencing a wide variety of emotions here when we were having lunch. So all of this leading up to the sitting down and having the discussion about it. So I guess I'm just kind of putting out there, I hope part of the discussion will be the emotions that they are feeling and the emotions that they are sending forward, because it's not just one emotion. There's a wide variety of emotions that are coming through. So,
alrighty. If I could tell you what these guys look like, from what I understand, they're mixed, but they could be shorter. Some of them have no neck type features, and they're Viking looking. Some of them, and some are taller, Nordic. Some of them look just like anybody. So let's see. Okay, who wants to be the representative of this group? Okay, yeah, the short little midget guy over here. Okay. No, your face is coming up to the floor. You're not actually that short. Okay. Yeah, let's see. He looked like he was 2 feet high, but only his head and neck were sticking up through the floor. So, all right. You can come in now, friend, if you want. The history that we are about to tell you will not be popular. It will not ring true for most. It will not coincide with the known. But we will tell it anyway. Pushing out the unnecessary is a necessity to continue forward, unclogging the pipes, as it were. We are saying a bit of our own history. We were here alongside Maldekian history here on your Earth, or Terra. The word was associated with hell later in history, or Tartarus, or hell, or those that would be judged. That your church eventually turned into hell and hellfires. No, this actually was a religious belief that was conjured by what you call Arconian forces. It was actually volcanic activity, as those that burrowed ended up in the fires around the oceans, like around your Lemuria, your Australian continent, your southern United States and middle United States. Yes, there are other groups such as Syrian groups and what you call Sasquatch and forest people groups. There are elven groups, yes. But let us just say this. The conception that your world is many is a falsehood. Your world sits in a multitude of different time frames and a multitude of different periods of awakening and sleep. This all must be synced up like a lens. Think of all these different juts off as an unfocused lens. A telescope that is not aligned. This happened, as you know, when the dark beings and the dark ones came into the system, destroyed Maldek and Mars, not only from within but out, and imprisoned those that remained as souls screaming in the system. But what history has forgotten or chosen to forget is our people that were already on the earth at the times of the invasion. Yes, we have Viking looks to us. However, we are mixes of people that got separated into some of the various races that you now covet the territories of. We started out on Atlantis and what you know of as Hyperborea. Eventually, our legends and tales became some of the Viking sagas and became some of the Norse, Scandinavian, Sumerian, and Egyptian mythology. And also that of Russian and Prussian histories. Mongolian as well, but only in the later histories. Our people were not too well received by the later Mongolian people who tried to use the wall, the Great Wall, not only as a means of covering, but a means of keeping us out. And we say Mongolian, even though we know it's the Chinese wall, because, again, another border separation. You see, they were born of the same gene pool with different mixes. We know that there are different races, but we are also saying this was a forced separation, you see. Think for a moment, yes, all the different worlds that have different colonists, and the people here that were mixed. We are of the originals, you would say. We are what you would call Titans, those that lost the war with Olympus, those that were continued to be seen as on high. The ones on high fell from grace. Remember, anything that considers itself on high has already fallen. We have been in the dirt since before you had forgotten yourselves, and the old energies are kicking out the bad new ones. I am about to say something that is also quite unpopular. Some of your interpretations about some of these new energies are quite incorrect. What has been said here with the old resurfacing and new mixes within the energies are most correct. And also the codex's information and the downloads of information also all correct. But we will go into a bit of vernacular that you are used to. Those that will ascend and those that will not. This is another form of division, you see. The division that was created here, again, those that are on most high and those that are left behind. No, none of you have been left behind, you see. We have only been waiting for you to reach a certain point so that you could feel our influence again. You're in an in-between stage, you see. That between happiness and sadness, from high to low, and all in between. As was said, there was an eye of a needle that you passed through. Yes, was it this so-called Lion's Gate? Yes, you can say that that time frame had a lot to do with this, even if you do not attribute all the epic terminology to the event. And this leads me to that bit of epic terminology, along with ascension and not ascension. You are all ascended. You are all in your own ways, learning all in your own ways, becoming and have become what you are to be. Separating those that will ascend and those that will not, you would say, is a load of bullshit, which is what it is. This was totally and completely made up by those that wished you to see some as on high and some that have fallen. In this, there is no God in heaven judging all of you. There is no devil in hell judging all of you. You see the comparison? It is the same. God of the Old Testament is the devil of the New. The applications and the ramifications that this created in your modern day are devastating, to say the least. Those that are worshipped and those that worship, those that live in squalor and those that live in luxury. A division that was created when the Tower of Babel that you know of fell and disassociated the many languages that were spoken on your world. Many languages of the many cultures fell as the attenuator, as it was known, that translated all languages and all forms, was destroyed by those that were invading. They knew if people could not understand one another, they could not work together. As is now. You could not work together if you could not understand the person in front of you and to the sides of you. The old energies of the old world, or you would call the old gods, return. The barriers of old are opening, and those energies that do not remain are dwindling. But here is another unpopular viewpoint that you will not find comforting. You must take control of your own situation. Own up to what is going on around you. Do not allow those to invade your thoughts. Do not ask for permission of these beings for any reason. And do not allow them to change your environment unless you deem otherwise. And if you must fight something back, then you must fight as a warrior would, in the truest sense. Only if you must. Yes, those energies are to be transmuted, and this so-called event is the ascension of only a few? No. You see, that was also something that was within your Bible. Your King David was a warrior and could not ascend? No. This was a story made up by fools with a pen, and those that wish to separate those on high from those lowly on the ground. No, we are warriors all, you see. If it is meant to push back these energies with a greater force that you put out, fine. We're not saying be violent towards your neighbors. We're not saying divide even further with that of violence. No, that too would harm. We're saying if you are a warrior in your heart space and your intuition tells you unequivocally that what is around you is just completely in disarray, then listen to that voice within. Listen to that voice within and know that it is correct, most correct. If it is a subject that once you've surpassed your own fears surrounding that subject, that something about it makes you uneasy and uncertain, listen to that voice, because it is not a lost feeling. It is one that has been most found, you see. It is one where you are detecting the truth around you. We will go back to this so-called event. The event is you coming to this realization. We do not like this particular bit of terminology because it attributes, again, a time of difference versus a time of oneness. No. There will be no mass ascension, everyone. We are sorry, but we are not. There is no such thing as this convergence. Yet, there is an eye of a needle that you just passed through with that whole Lionsgate terminology. And as you pass into the fall, know that there is, yes, a period of calm, but yet you still have your own inner work to be doing because, yes, have all of these thousands and thousands of years been traumatic to everyone? Yes. And this must be pushed away. But if you do not push away those that oppress with a greater force in your heart and in your minds and in your wills and in your souls, then they have already won by your inaction. Become that which you are, so that they can leave you and that they can be pushed away. Become that which you are, and do not become subservient to idiocracy or worship. Serve not that lives on most high. Serve not that observes and does nothing. Worship not that, and serve not that will not even get involved even in the slightest on an energetic level. We understand the non-interference to a point, but when some of your own kind have been, as you would say, banished to the pits of hell, Tartarus, Tartarian hell, turned into such by the invasions, the fires, from the sky and from below. When your very own people are involved in the interference as well as some of the fixing, do not shun those that wish to take a greater action. We are not trying to incite revolution, except that in here. We're not saying rise against your neighbor, no. We're not saying even taking on your government is such a revolutionary act, no. But we are saying, say no when somebody from on high tells you to do something, commands you to do something, issues an edict. Why do you think there are all these politicians now that are doing the opposite of what people want? Because somebody out there is telling you to say no. You are to say no and not be subservient to fools with pens, fools with keys on a keyboard, and fools that think they are untouchable. Nothing's untouchable and nothing is invincible in that respect. Granted, energies all live forever. However, in this situation, know that the situations that you're in are not forever, they are finite. The finite of all are these struggles. See, the timelines that you've been shifting lately are very quick and very rapid. The traumas that you are bringing to the surface, no matter what era they came from and where they came from, are being transmuted at a rate that is astronomical by your standpoint. But it is approaching what would be the galactic normal. You will have no choice but to see what is around you after a while. Do not care what others think that are not at that stage yet, that are around you about what you are seeing and have seen. Be your authentic self. Do not stray into the realm of distractions. I will give you an example. Say there is a person that wishes to follow a certain career path that the rest of the family does not wish it. You are not dishonoring anyone but yourself if you conform. However, if you be your own person, if there is truly love on the other end of the family, they will soon follow suit. They will become what they actually are as souls, and not that of the programming of religion, faith, or government, or false academics. Become the person that you are supposed to become, not what they wish you to be. Yes, family is important because we are that. The mixes of emotions that you're feeling are us not only reawakening from your perception point, but you coming to meet us. Now, there are a couple other things that are unpopular. you will see lately that there are a rash of not only animals dying, but a rash of suicides. Yes, this energy is most conflicting, it would seem, right? Not happy and joyous like you expect, right? No. Of course it wouldn't be what you expect. You expect what? Ascension? No. What you're seeing are souls not only done with their soul mission of integrating certain vibrations and harmonics. You are seeing the last wigs and throws of the bad guys, creating a brutality out of it. And you're also seeing those that love you, such as animal friends, defending you against those final throws. You're seeing these things and are distracted by the horror, and you feel just as you should. But know that it's these rapid changes that are causing this and nothing more. It is that which you are becoming that is noticing this. That which you are that is noticing this. And we are saying now, any of the things that are wrong in your society, any of the things that you seem to think are impossible, such as the changing of the guard, let's just say, between you and your cabal counterparts. You seem to think this is impossible, and we are telling you it is not. It does not matter how advanced their technology is, they must also surrender to the winds and the flows of a river. No one fords the mighty river of the Nexus. No one. They are throwing their own people onto the bus, you would say, in an effort to escape that wheel of time. That which they aided in helping create. No. As history repairs itself, they too are being repaired. And the beings that you are encountering now, such as ourselves and some of the bad guys, and some of the good guys that look like the bad guys, are all appearing. And you are appearing to them as you appear to us. This is another shocker to people, even though you've heard this before ad nauseum. Your 5D isn't what you expected, is the most populated of all the layers you see. Even though the number is meaningless and the D is meaningless, I digress again. The situation there is a mix. Where do you think some of your draconian agents come from? From Most High, you see. Judging on a scale, you see. Always thinking that they must be above, looking down upon you. We are not saying elements of the Sky City now, but then, from on top of a high mountain, yes. They must be secure and pick the Most High. Because by picking the Most High and worship, being in existence, the all-powerful, then when people start co-creating that, they begin to heal these beings. Not necessarily heal in a good way, mind you. See, healing can also be a bad thing if it is for the wrong reasons. Not necessarily for yourself, but others. When you heal someone that does not need to be healed, and that their mission, so to speak, is to go away, you're only prolonging the inevitable. You're only prolonging the change. Not only within yourself, but for others. But as we have said, do not mind others that have tried to stifle your path. Let them go. This is now an old time, born anew. We have returned from your perspective, but it's actually you that has returned to us. You were the lost ones, the screaming souls, those that felt like they had no purpose, and those that were convinced they had no purpose. Those that were run aground on false timelines, and those that were beached on false timelines. You only exist in a false reality if you believe it to be so. Do not listen to the whims and the words of old death, because you are far from it. Do not consider yourself worthless. Do not consider yourself conquered. You are not a conquered people. You are a one people. You are not at the whims of government. You are at the whims of your own hearts, souls, and minds. The division in your society, through politics, through academics, through the sciences and the religions, this is not to be so. There is, again, nobody that is on high. Not in an academic sense, not in a political sense, and definitely not in a religious sense. Think about these words for a little while as I continue. What you perceived, and these two perceived to be as a super Earth with many, many divisions and many, many zones, were not only the influxes of other energies that were permeating the Nexus and creating a larger holographic output of a world that has indeed changed size, but for the better, not the worse. But these are what you perceive as time zones, and also pockets of reality where some of these negative and positive inclined, we'll just say, not in a division sort of way, escape too. You would call them negative 0 points, where they are slowly being revealed, and their energies spill out over the land and balance. And it's not only the, as you call her, the benevolent Earth Mother and benevolent Source and all of those audit this process, but it's you who wishes change. You are the ones up to bat, you would say, right now. You are at the mic, you are at the podium. You have no script in front of you, and you are being asked to speak. You are being asked to state your demands, state what's in your heart, and state what's in your mind, and what you've been holding back on all of these centuries. Does not matter what that statement says, other than the fact that it is a sovereign statement. Even if it is against us, we know that you have been told so many lies, told so many untruths, that of course you would point to those that are right next to you at first. We understand this and are very patient with this, but also understand that whatever statement you bring forth, it is coming from the heart, and we know it is for that of change. If you want all of these repeating scenarios within your political and academic structures and religious structures to change, you must do this yourselves. People are relying on outside forces and sources that have agendas no different than any other group. We are telling you, do it yourself. We are telling you not only how to do it yourself, but do it yourself. You must be heard. You must be heard above all of the noise, all of the false flags, you would call them, all of the distractions. Your soul must be heard and be counted. It does not matter who promised what and what was said to whom. The history matters, yes, most certainly. You must understand your past in order to know yourself now and what to get rid of and what to leave behind. The situation you find yourself in is another repetitious cycle that your current generation is unaware of. The current generation is not interested in what has happened before, and that is also a part of division. This will all soon change. Soon, not by a snap of the fingers or poof mentality, as you would say. But it is something that is repairable. All right, we are open to questions.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in and obviously taking this opportunity to give a lot of information. I actually want to go back because I think in my mind trying to put together actually who you were. So I'm going to try and keep this short and have kind of short questions with a response with you now to try and see if I've got this correct. So you're the race who we're speaking with was on this earth when things started to go down on this system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There were other races as well that we understand that were on the earth. There were the Untumbans. There were the ancient Mayans. There were different people that were assisting different parts of the earth with certain bringings together of either land or whatever. There was a bunch of activity going on with a bunch of different races. Even, again, the Myrmidon, which we've said before, when the darkness fell, some of them felt like it was unexpected and they were trapped. Wasn't a desire to be here. I think that, again, it sounds like for some of the races, there was an inkling that they knew it was going to go south. It was going to get more difficult. They even staged things to be of help, not back then, but in the future, which would be now, to help assist coming back out of it. So for your race, which you say, if I heard you correctly, looks more like what people would interpret as a Viking race or a giant race. Okay. So when I say all that, I apply the same look, the same dynamics to Anunnaki. Where I say Anunnaki were a dual side. You had ones that really went dark, and when they went dark, they went dark. And then you have those that were trying to not go that pathway, but maybe got messed up in it. Would you all consider yourself related to the group that I refer to as Anunnaki?
Yes, you could say that. There were multiple offshoots that people do not know about. Think of the infected that I spoke of the Olympian side, being that of Enki, Enlil, Anu, and Odin, as you call them. All of that family, as you would say. Also our family. We were on the ground, you see. They were in the sky. The ones that controlled them and infected them were the on most high, as we have said. The darker entities that those that did not know better at the time invited in, and how Maldek got destroyed. The people that were on the ground were also related to them, you see. Also, all the cultures that came in to plant their flag in their own areas, but still it was one culture, one empire, including that in the sky, as above, so below, you would say. It was all one thing. But the grouping that I personally belong to genetically would be a relation to your Viking and that of your Scandinavian gods. That's before they had the reptilian influx in their DNA.
Okay, so again, which we say is in the neighborhood, again, of those that use the word Anunnaki, kind of all that melts in together, although it could be cousins, more, not necessarily all direct or whatever, but in that realm. The reason I want to ask that is that when you were boots on the grounds at that time, were you able to actively see your cousins, let's say Enki and Enlil? Were you noticing their infection? Were you noticing their turn? Were you noticing the problems? Or were you like I joke because I don't know who else to bring it up. No one else has said it. Like the Myrmidon, totally taken by surprise.
There were some groups that were taken by surprise. Others that knew what the writing on the wall meant and knew what was coming. You would call this technique either gazing into a crystal ball or scrying. You would see these magical techniques of scanning the timelines. But in fact, even though it was technologically based, it was still viewing the quantum realities ahead. And we saw that the timelines were favoring the damage, you would say, in order to favor the repair. This may seem cruel in its conception, but there were certain aspects about it that not only are false in your today world, but are true in ways that you could not imagine. I will use an example. In your modern day, you believe everything you do is part of your learning experience. No. You may learn something from it, which is most applicable. But is it part of a curriculum, a set curriculum? No. This, granted, there are teachers out there that come in and must step back per galactic rules when somebody's got to a certain stage. Yes, there is a truth to that. But as we see it, the earth became that of a farm or a battery, you would say, in your history, to those beings. The negative beings, the invaders, the ones from a different universe. The situation you find yourself in today, you will learn the most by coming out of the situations that you're in. The self-pity or the self-flagellation or the guilt that has been instilled upon you so you don't energetically, or in some cases physically, rise up against these beings. Yes, it is possible to do it that way, but we are saying that in your current situation, yes, be a warrior, be that in here. Get rid of these dark beings out of your homes and out of your neighborhoods and out of your presences. The situation that we were just for mentioning, the learning curriculum, yes, did certain souls get ensnared by their own creation? Yes. And did it go awry? Yes. So think about this for a moment. No matter how best you lay your plans out, something usually changes that you did not account for, even if you account for all variables. That is what the souls thought. But the reality became much different. We are not saying you're wrong in saying and ascertaining that there is a learning curriculum, but it is not, how can I put this, a set dynamic. It is not set in stone how you must learn. How you learn is how you are supposed to learn as you go along and as you live your lives here. As you make changes where changes are needed, either within or out, when you learn about different types of concepts that true benevolent source creator wishes, yes. But on that note, do not be a yes person even to that. Be your own individual sovereign person that knows that they are one with all and they are one with everything. You are a spark of creation. But also know that in your world, when you have run aground somewhere and you think you must stay in that situation because you think thy will be done, no. Again, think of the deceptions of the Most High. God is not above you or below you. There is no torment below you and no paradise above you. No. It is up to you to create all of that here and bring back what is needed and bring in what is needed. It has always been up to you, not to some God that is not necessarily present in the form that you wish. The source energy, or benevolent source energy, is everything. Yes, it can give you downloads, it can pass the information back and forth, but it is not going to dictate to you how you must live. If you wish to fight the energy back and push it back like a battering ram, that is your decision. If you wish to change the vibration in different ways, through art and through the love of nature and writing and what have you, that is also your choice. Which also leads me to the next spot. People's interests of wanting to cleanse the earth of these negativities are returning, creating substances and creating sciences that are nature-born and science-born and heart intention and greater mental capacity born. These are downloads not only from yourselves, but from the true source field, or the benevolent source field, as the case may be. Not the infection that tried to get into it, mind you, completely, but the true essence of all of it. And discern, definitely discern in your own life. It does not matter who is opposing this, whether you wish to continue living run aground like a beached sailing ship or a whale, or that sailing the high seas at full wind at your back and dictating your own fate. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you. I do want to cover just a couple more things about historical events before talking more about currently now and our expansion. But when you all were seeing all of this, everything you're saying, and my sense is that you as an individual and the group, that many of you were actually present at that time. Okay, so this, I'm not talking to a descendant of.
No.
Okay, I'm talking to someone who is presently there.
Yes.
Okay, so it seems to me that if I understand what's happened correctly and what's happened in some other conversations that are not videotaped in with this, but other conversations and with other people, that logic would dictate to me that you were present here on Earth, that things went down, and I don't know if there was resistance on your end, or was there just we're just choosing to walk away from this, and your walking away from it was choosing to remain in a certain, or go to a certain frequency that, as others may be, the only way I know how to say this is lower in frequency, de-evolve, I don't know how you say it, that you, in a sense, stayed out of it. Is any of that thought process true?
You are correct in your assertions. There are some that did indeed retreat from this system. There are some that stepped back into a different vibration, and there are those that de-evolved with the oppressions of the archontic forces. All is indeed true. Yes, correct.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're the ones, you decided it was in your best interest, in your interest of whatever you wanted to be a part of, to literally go or be within a frequency or whatever, because the whole reason this conversation right here is even coming about is supposedly we're flowing down the river, changing our frequency, and we've come upon your door, in a sense.
Yes.
We've come now knocking at your door because that's where you happen to be. So I haven't heard anything within anything that you've said that you fought for a while and then decided to do this. It's like it feels like to me, it sounds like to me, I've not heard anything different, that at the time it all went down, there was a group that just said, you know what, we're just going to hang out over here until they're done with the whatever, and eventually they'll come back and see us again.
Yes, you can say that, even though we did fight a little bit in the beginning. As we've said, there are those that stayed and created descendant lineages. In some cases, de-evolved. And yes, we did step back, even though we were, as you would say, conquered at that time. Or that is how history views it. We were not conquered at all if we take the attitude that we were not. Yes, was our world conquered? Yes. But in that conquering, would it not be a logical assumption or assertion to put together that the enemy was led to run aground themselves, forced into a funnel or a bottleneck, into a nexus point they had no business ever trying to conquer or to assimilate. One could say that they were forcibly led aground, and those souls that then devolved in the process of that plan did so in order to keep the enemy run aground. Even though we've said there were things that happened that were not anticipated, we did indeed step back and notice that the enemy became entrenched. But entrenched, not in order to suck the place dry, even though that is their intention. They were led here in that energetic respect in order to be run aground themselves. This is how we see things.
So again, you say run aground, but again, they're really caught up now in their own creation.
Indeed.
And no escape from it. There's no busting into someplace else. There's no whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. And if they are going to be to the last breath, so be it. They will have a last breath, basically, in that sense, because that's what they did. They did not, in their decision making, create unlimited freedom for themselves. They didn't do it.
No.
So I find it interesting because, again, many people will say now the wisest of people know when to walk away. So, it's, again, yes, you had the Olympians versus the Titans. Many people will interpret retreat as a defeat, whereas I look at, things, this is just my personal perspective. We've talked about other races before. We've talked about the Ra. We've talked a little bit about the Antigua. But in my mind, I wish there would have been a little bit more wisdom from the Ra, that a bunch of them would have decided to, and they didn't. There's a small little group, and that's about it, that survived that. I think the Antigua story is not completely told. They dwindled down to hardly anything. I think there's, again, a story there that I am suspecting what happened. I do not know what happened, but then there was wisdom somewhere even with them to finally decide it was important to save the race and walk away, and they themselves not be to the last breath.
Yes.
And they have now reigned and repopulated. There's a story there, I don't know 100%. So I do see wisdom, when people realize I need to turn and I need to just go in a different direction. Drop it, it's not important, let's just, and again, I think that reflects now as to where many people find themselves, many humans find themselves right now. Do I continue in the old battle sequences? I'm having the same experience over and over again, or when do I just say, this is stupid, I don't want it, no, and walk away, be it walk away from people they've known, situations, whatever, to just say no and just be able to walk away. And with a wisdom to know that this dog chasing its tail scenario with themselves won't occur until they choose to end it by not wanting, the ultimate of revenge, not wanting all this, and literally just realizing I need to break this by literally walking away and saying I want something more exciting in my life. I want to go explore in this area and I'm kind of done with it, been there, done that. I need to stop this. And that is personal responsibility to make the choice to do that, because people are stuck, I think, in the old programming of there needs to be justice. There needs to be or the old religious things that are out there, an eye for an eye, or, all those types of mentalities. So, I don't know if you want to comment about that, but...
the term that you term to be justice will hit swiftly, but not in the way that you were expecting. The way you would say, or the term you have coined, is this the hill you wish to die upon? This is actually most apt what we are also talking about. Yes, are things worth fighting for? Oh yes, if your way of life is coming to an end, or if your way of being is threatened, your way of sovereignty is threatened, like it is, We are saying assert yourselves, be that warrior within. But to keep fighting all things, to keep trying to conquer those who have conquered you, punish those who have punished you. Yes, there is a justice. Yes, do some people have to be locked up? Yes, we're not stupid. But are your cabal people and all these others that these Nazis and all these others that have committed these atrocities, is it worth going to war in the traditional sense that would drag out for years and years and years and just decimate your landscapes and your people's lives and create more trauma? No, it is not worth that. This is why the slow trickle method was involved, you would say. However, we are also saying once you take control of yourselves, these situations may change because you are making them change, you see. You are making these systems collapse just by merely thinking it and feeling it. These are the abilities that you were made to forget, but you are also being made to remember. You are being made to look at yourselves in a way that you've never seen before. Moods and attitudes and physical capabilities that you're only just beginning to tap into. You would call these people superhuman, but we would have to say all of you are that way. Because of the fact that all of this was suppressed. Yes, do you need to fight, as I said, for some things? Yes. But in the creative sense, yes, were there times in history that it was applicable to overthrow a bad guy or get rid of some people that were disharmoniously disrupting a neighborhood or place with violence? Yes. And the for and against that your Rothschilds and them have created? Yes, most certainly. Those types of cleanups are indeed necessary, but not in all things. Not all battles need to be fought and won in the respect that you are thinking. You must think of other ways, except also to be able to discern when the old way of fighting for freedom and fighting for sovereigns is necessary in the way you're interpreting it. But you also must discern the other way of when to back off and surrender to the flow of all things. Thank you.
Which I find very interesting because I've been trying to figure out what, again, on another conversation, and in previous other talks, it's always, this encouragement, it sounds like, to let the flow occur, let the flow occur, let the flow occur, as if there was a lot of resistance coming from, let's say, myself or from Chris or something. And, I always try to listen to every word that's being said. It doesn't mean that I understand, and even if someone's trying to give me a clue, I may be struggling with, boy, I'm getting the feeling you're telling me that there is a lot of resistance to it, although I have no clue and didn't know I was doing it kind of scenario. And I guess I'm bringing that up because is that perspective, is that a perspective you all share, that you're watching people and they're trying, but they are getting it, sometimes get stuck in a resistance to the flow? I don't know if it's fear-based, I don't know if it's, the fear of the unknown. I'm not sure what's causing it or whatever, but I'm curious your comment on that subject.
Yes, there is a resistance. Some of it is fear-based. Actually, most of it is fear-based to the unknown. Or did I have wrong with what I believed before? This is a major component. The other is cognitive dissidents, as you would call it, those that just do not care what is around and are oblivious to it. These are the two forms of which you speak.
Okay, so and at times, I guess, if you feel overwhelmed, even though you want to do it, you could have your own moments of cognitive dissonance because it's just too over. It's, again, it's easy to speak, oh, this will be the process, but going through the process is a whole nother story, and it's not easy at all. And Lord knows we're not saying it's easy, or maybe other people will have it easier and we're having it rougher. I don't know, but I acknowledge that it is there. So I want to change the subject because, again, you brought up superhumans. And I'm not talking about, and I don't think you were talking about, or you can correct me, to genetically altered humans that may have gone through military or, cabal or Nazi or whatever, enhancements to bring out genetics or whatever from a past. We're literally talking now people that in a more, I don't know whether I call that unnatural way, is when it's altered and manipulated, but in a more natural sense, becoming more capable. Okay, is that what you were talking about? The more natural sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I've been having this discussion with people lately about truly understanding the connection. Again, I've always said, again, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'd like to know whether I have a little bit of a handle on this. I know I don't know it all. That the fullness of ourselves, I just don't know how to do it, say it other than this energetic library that's full of so much, because we're actually, our souls are so old. But you can't bring it all and put it all into this DNA skin suit. So you've got this great being, and you've got the finger now that's in the DNA skin suit. It's still all one huge being, but not everything in that great library called yourself can fit into this skin suit. And I didn't know, first of all, I don't know if you agree with that, and second of all, my thought was this new enhancements are because we are expanding, so more of ourself can fit into the skin suit, or we can quickly bring in and out what we need, or something to that effect. And it's a natural expansion of that, plus literally learning how to work the DNA skin suit better, the mind, body, ego, soul, all working together better as one, and that's a part of our evolutionary growth as well. So I'm just curious about your comment on that.
You will be surprised at my answer. You are the library. Every cell that you have in your body contains that of an entire universe. You are, yes, are you bringing more of it in? You can say that, yes. Our perspective is, you were saying one finger in the skin suit. No. Yes, are you juggling this information around to where then eventually your kind will then be acclimated to the point where you will have access to all of it? Yes. Some would see it as bringing in more of themselves, yes. But we are saying do not create that separation. You are the library, you are the reservoir of knowledge, you are the soul, you are the divine source, as some would say, or benevolent source, as some would say. You are what you would perceive to be God. You are all of these things and more. Now, have these restraints that have been put on you being released by these energies as you wish changed, and the outer energies? Yes. Does this feel like you are bringing in more of yourself? Yes. But what I'm about to say is this. You are coming more to the realization of self. More of who and what you are and where you've come from. Yes, do people have a sleeper self, so to speak, out there? Yes, in some cases, like yourselves. But this answer will surprise anyone listening to this as well. Seeing yourself in separated two places at once, or one being, which one would you prefer? A part of yourself that is already here, that is asleep and manifesting itself on a slab somewhere, because part of you has chosen to funnel that into that medium? Or do you wish all of that to be self-contained here and downloading information to the benevolent Akashic? It is your decision how to view this, you see. Yes, did you see correctly a giant laying on a slab or someone else laying on a slab? Yes, of course, yes. Were you seeing across time as well? Of course, yes. Were you seeing your perceived higher selves? Of course, yes. But in this, as you open up these restrictions, not only have you self-placed within you with your indoctrinations in history, but the oppressions and possessions that have been laid upon you, or latent upon you, once you start releasing these things, that sleeper version will cease to exist because of the fact that you are the expression for the current moment. Why would you have to look towards someone else? Those people that are your soul family, us and them, are awaiting that time that you do not see a part of yourself asleep. They are waiting for you to wake up from a dream. They're waiting for you to not be a dreamer, but be a doer. Thank you.
Well, that's an interesting statement, because that's kind of a conversation we were having last week with somebody that I was like chatting with myself, going, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you doing anything? But in my I didn't know any other perspective, but to say, I felt like I was talking to my, as people call, perceived higher self, saying, I know that certain New Age or whatever says that, as you expand and you go into these different chakras and all these chakras above, and you get more of your higher self and all of this stuff, opens up to much more knowledge. And I was just thinking, but what about the doing? Instead of knowledge, what about the doing? And
there's knowing and doing.
Yeah, and then do how is this really how it's supposed to be now? I actually would have these thoughts of my own, so it's interesting you should say that, because again, Chris and I don't talk about everything. That there would be an expansion of this human DNA skin suit, and I actually would see parts of the sleeping self of mine come in, then more come in, and then to the point where that was no longer there. So it's very interesting that you said that, because I saw that too. So my question becomes, if I kind of have it backwards, it sounds like I've been having it backwards, where this is the current present moment self, this is currently all it is. Did I or others intentionally say, well, there's no way I can be all in now, I'm going to put you over there for part of you over there for a while, because instead of, I had it that I thought they were, let's say, in charge. And again, I'm not trying to separate myself, but I'm trying to give a visualization. That one was in charge, and then there's little me growing to meet it. But actually, it's the opposite. I'm the one in charge, and did I perceive I couldn't handle it all, so that part of me's hanging out over there in reserve for a while, or what is it then?
Humans also do this when something is very traumatic. They partition it to what they see as the subconscious. Think of this on that energetic level as being exactly as such. A form of separation of soul, mind, and body. Think of how you perceive the subconscious, or subatomic, or any of those subs, some one thing below another thing. This concept, yes, is there as above, so below? Most certainly. That is a reflection, but it also must mirror back too. As above, so below, and as above, so below. It is supposed to be one thing, not below and above permanently. That is a form of trickery and programming that was instilled in your race many, many centuries ago to divide you from yourselves and to look for superheroes outside of yourselves, so to speak. In this, you are the superheroes that you have been waiting for. I know that phrase gets old for people because they want all the oppression from the outside to disappear. Then make it disappear. You have the ability to literally snap your fingers and make it disappear. With the weakened state that it is in, you quit considering yourselves above and below and anywhere in between, and just be a person and actually see these things as changeable and not as impossibilities, or as you would say, making a mountain out of an anthill. Once you stop doing these things and seeing all possibilities as endless as you were before the changes and the de-evolution and the indoctrinations and the spells and the programs, once you start ridding yourself of all these unnecessary layers that do not serve you in the current present moment, then there will only be you reflecting the universe and the universe reflecting back at you. There will be no difference once it's at its attuned state.
And at its attuned state, there's one. Because the one thing that's been, I've been thinking about a lot lately, and again, I was reflecting on this when I was having my talk to myself. Self, why aren't you doing? Why are you hanging out over there? Why are you just watching, waiting? Because that was my perception of what was going on. I also started to think, well, maybe you're paying too much attention to all these other me's out there. Why isn't it just single focus on the me that's here? So, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if part of that is indoctrination too, or I'm noticing how fractured I've become, and I'm over here, and I'm over there, and I'm over there, and I'm over there. People would say different people on different timelines. My curiosity is that actually a truth, or is that a programming? Are there many of you in many places, or am I talking to the one and only?
Depends on who and what. Yes, you have a multiverse full of many yous. Oh yes, most certainly. There is a multiverse that encompasses all choice. Do all those expressions exist all the time? No. Think of a multitude of different universes like you've seen in your sci-fi programs. That is actually accurate to how it is. Now, are all these universes self-correcting because of the damage that was done? You call the Mandela effect, most certainly, and do some timelines bow towards each other? Yes, they do. But is there a gigantic oversoul within all of those? No. This is actually quite complicated, what I'm about to explain, but I will do my best to put it in the layman. Say you have your sovereign self in this universe, and then say you cross over to a parallel universe and you meet a duplicate of yourself, whether that duplicate is male or female, it does not matter. And there are cases like that where there was a chromosomal difference in the different evolutionary paths meant for a particular harmonic in those different places. Does that mean that person is you on a soul level? Very complicated to explain. So I will have to say both yes and no. It is all happening at once, just like time as you perceive it is all happening at once. Say in a different universe where you're female or male, and say some of those energies are needed in the particular areas that they are needed to be able to present a particular harmonic for that particular moment in time, and it can only be done in a particular quantum reality, then yes, you could say, yes, the soul is indeed across in those other realities and experiencing all those other realities, but yet you are still the current present self. It is in a quantum state of reality, so it can neither be yes nor no, and it is yes and no. That is the closest to the layman that I can get it.
Okay, because we have to stop. I'm assuming we have to stop thinking of either that oversoul or that higher self that's sitting somewhere else and directing all of this stuff, because basically the goal here is many of us haven't, but we need to bring all of ourselves within our current self, me sitting right here before you, complete and solid, no sleeping on a slab somewhere, and it needs to be all in.
Yes.
If I heard you correctly, though, you're saying part of the reason that's not occurring are all of the entanglements, attachments, and different things that were put upon us as we were brought here, being farmed.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and so we're breaking back out of it, so we're kind of, in a sense, putting ourselves, like Humpty Dumpty, putting ourselves back together again. But it's not that we're going to go someplace else, we're actually going to bring it in wherever we are.
Yes, indeed. Well, you will bring in this information with whatever present you happen to be finding yourself in. Even though it may seem like there are many past, presents, and futures, it is all one. And yes, we understand that there is no such thing as time, but we are saying this in the layman format where people can understand. Yes, there are parallel universes, and yes, there are different realities where you could have gone right or left. We understand all of that portion of this, but you are the current present self moment. Yes, you may get traits and codexes from those different elements, but remember, you are one being here. Do not see any part of yourself as asleep, even though that is a perspective of saying your perceived higher self and you are bringing it in. Yes, that is just a perception difference. We are not saying it's completely false, mind you. We are just saying it's a perception difference, but it is actually the unfolding of the information as the restrictions vanish.
Right. So you in a sense, if you feel that you're not quite complete, that is the truth, because the restrictions and different things are have caused that, and the only way for us to wrap our mind around it, because people are made to feel bad about themselves, is that we are a minuscule part of something else there, because God forbid it really couldn't be us here now, because I feel kind of puny and messy, and you can't tell me that this is my higher self and that I'm looking at in the mirror, for as horrible as I feel about it. I'm assuming it's a psychological thing as well. No way, it has to be somewhere else. There's a psychological component to it. So that's very interesting. Well, I think we've been talking for quite a while, and I don't believe you gave any name. Have no idea if you want to give a name. And my other last question again is talking about the emotion. Were you could just say yes or no to this. Were you guys, or were Chris and I perceiving emotions from you and your race when we were at lunch? Was that coming from you guys?
Indeed, this was indeed coming from us and coming from our group collective. We were, as your friends would say, greeting you at the door, but we were happy that you have finally gotten to this stage, even though there are a lot of lost and sad feelings that are coming from you. You were also feeling that of us, and the rest of you, let's just say for sake of argument, was also greeting us, or that you would say perceived higher self, but we've already discussed this, was also greeting us. These were the emotions you were feeling from us: sadness, joy, wanting to go over the histories with you of all that took place, and plans for the future, if you want to view it that way. Let's just say plans for the present, and regrouping these energies and these thoughts and these emotions for the present. And this is what we came in today to discuss. It is not the last time we will speak, because other people not only will see this broadcast, but will also know they have been feeling the same as it has been going around. Yes, it's the energy changes, Lionsgate, solar, earth, AI, all of that. That has never changed, but the direction the winds are moving around have indeed changed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ugh. Everything's a weird yellow color in here. Orange color in here. It's weird. It's weird the colors that you see after you bring in some of these beings. Some are greens, yellows, blues, different vibrancies. It might be the sunlight. But yeah, that's very very interesting. And yeah, these beings do feel like they are family, soul family oriented.
Yeah, and I don't know, again, was it ours and or theirs, because it was a weird mix of feelings coming through at lunch, and Chris and I were talking about it, something like, some of these feelings are like, oh my God, I feel so bad what you've been through, or oh my God, I can't believe you've really made it, or yeah. So instead of just feelings of like happiness or joy, we were trying to describe, all of these feelings, and and they were not just a simple feeling, they were complex, complicated feelings of like some of them would have been like, I can't believe you actually did it, and I feel so terrible what you went through. And it was very complicated, so which I think goes to show that they have just as much complicated set of emotions as we do.
Exactly. They're no different than we are. I know you asked their individual names, but I don't know if they're just hesitant to give them, or I know the word Titan is so general, to use that. But that's the word that we were going to have to use. That this individual that I was channeling, I'll recognize him again if I see him, but
you're going to have to redefine what the word Titan means, because again, the words Olympian, Titan. They
were essentially the same identical thing that got separated.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Both halves of the same coin. So again, kind of coming from the same race of beings, but some races went one way, and some races chose another experience. But they're from the same genetic, let's call it, race tree. And so, just like we say, the war of the angels and the demons, it's the same set of beings, but some chose one path, some chose another. It's the same with this. It's just being spoken about again as Olympians versus Titans. So
for and against. That's
right.
Really
so I would not think of the word, if you ever hear us use the word Titan, I wouldn't be thinking of it as anything other than a race of beings that was here in the beginning, so original. Okay, that would probably be appropriate.
Yeah.
Not greater than any other race. Not greater than. And they weren't greater than.
Not below or above anything.
No, they weren't below or above. They just happen to be. And just like negativity likes to do, they like to, make epic sets of beings. And give
with
qualities.
Epic terminology, that's why Michael never liked the epic terminology.
Yeah. So take out of your mind anything you ever think about what the words Titans would mean, and just think about it as original race. So if you identify and feel like yourself, like, why do I feel so strongly I'm one of the Titans? Well, maybe your soul was back on Earth way back when, and maybe it did become a part of it. This group of beings that we're talking about right now chose to leave it, but again, they said some got caught up in it, some, stayed and fought longer, some whatever. You may have a genetic link to them, but don't go to the point of thinking your skills, that means somehow your skills are are Superman over others. Don't go there, because that was the falsehoods associated
Yes, can you be a superhero to help other people? Wear a cape, do whatever the hell you want. Yes, but
you're not greater than.
You're not greater than.
Yeah, and we mean in skills. So I mean, you're not necessarily greater than, or was originally the sky, or don't do that, because you're still buying into the old definition and the skewed definition of what that word means. So I just want to make sure everybody knows we're not using that word in that way. We're just going to use it in the way that they brought forth, that they were here originally, and they were the ones referred to in that battle of Olympus, and Olympus would have been in Enki Enlil, that genetic family who kind of was going astray at that time, versus others of a similar genetic family who didn't want to go that way, and so there was some fighting until some left.
Yeah, exactly. And to end this off, this guy keeps calling him by his own name now. He keeps calling himself Serapis.
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 Interesting.
Sounds ancient Greek or Roman, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So he has red hair. He looks kind of like a Viking, but he has.
So you think this was the guy So Chris, weeks ago?
Many weeks ago, yeah.
Is this the same one?
Yes. Yes.
And Chris greeted him like Chris greets most people. He doesn't know that he's going to take his head off.
Yes, and he was able to block me and said, "Know who your enemy actually is." So this is actually him.
That's him?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. So I got to looking at him more, and he was, it's him.
Yeah. But again, they know the shell shock most humans are on, and so I don't think he was angry. He was just like, "Hello."
He was basically, it was them assessing the situation as we were approaching the past that eye of the needle, and they were going back through it just to notice everything was going on, who was blocking the hole, who wasn't, stuff like that. That's how they were doing. They were like this, and that's why you were seeing faces come out looking around and doing stuff like that. And as he was saying on Most High, the reptilians like to look through the ceilings all the time at people. That's something that's a common trait, is above them, even though they are taller, they're way up there, but not like a rooftop. They'll look through like the ceilings, and that's what one of the things they were making reference to, is those that are self-anointed on high, above others. That's what Serapis was referring to. So before I babble anymore, we can go ahead and end this episode of the lifting. So thank you everybody for watching. Bye.
Bye.